What is up, everyone, and welcome to a game week stream. I think it's not a deadline stream this time, but welcome back to the channel, Insanely Football. It's so good to be back. Absolutely thrilled. It's been a couple of crazy weeks. A lot has happened. Of course, I have got married, and it was a kind of a break that happened. But I'm so glad. It was a great time. Had a good time. How are you guys doing? How have you been? How was your game week? I think I've missed so much in the past 10 odd days or so. I think so much has happened over the last couple of days. We've got so much information, and I think it's just, in general, I think it's just good to be back playing the game, playing FPL, talking to you guys. First of all, thank you so much again for all your wishes, for all your lovely congratulations. It was really heartfelt. Of course, I didn't expect this much love on the channel and in general. I got so many DMs. I've kind of replied to each and every one. So in case if I've missed any of your messages, apologies for that. But generally, I try to kind of reply to all of you guys. I think this time it's not going to be a very hectic sort of a stream. I think it's probably going to be a little slow, probably a little slow pace. I think we all need some time to digest the information that we've got over the past day or so. I think there's a lot that can happen still, before the deadline. We can also divest and digest this information and kind of break down different pieces of it. Can think of what to do in terms of strategies, in terms of transfers. Of course, now if you've been living under a rock, or if you're not aware of what's been happening, Double Game Week 26 is announced, where a few teams have a decent double game week. So we'll kind of deep dive into what teams to target, what players to target. We'll also kind of look at your teams and your players, my team and my players. Surprisingly, I didn't do. It was probably not surprisingly. I was really caught up over the past week, and didn't get enough time to make any moves, make any transfers, not even change my captain. But somehow I've kind of managed to scrape through. It's been a pretty good game week for me, at least. I think it's been a weird one, to be very honest. I think a lot of people, they've done some moves. They tried to go in a different direction, maybe target a few differentials, etc. But all of that has kind of not worked specifically in the last game week. But hopefully this particular game week, the next couple of weeks, game week 26, which is the huge double game week, game week 27, which is a blank game week, I think hopefully it kind of becomes okay for all of us, and we're kind of able to scrape through in a way where at least whatever picks we kind of go for, whatever moves we kind of go for, whatever strategy we kind of go for, works at least in the shorter run. Because this season has been an absolutely crazy season. It's very difficult to plan. It's very difficult to predict what's going to happen. But as we keep getting more and more information, we'll try to kind of react to every piece of information and at least break down for you guys, help myself, help you guys, and generally have a good time. Hey Shan, first of all, we'll just quickly say hi to all of you guys. Hey Shan, thank you again for your lovely wish. Uh, hey Sanjay, hi. Thank you so much again. It was a pretty crazy week or so, but yeah, we just happy to be back. So in general, I think this is how I've kind of been lining up for this particular week. If you can see the screen, not very so again, I'll probably kind of break this conversation or break today's stream in case if you have any questions, in case if you have anything to ask, please feel free to add that in the chat, in the comments, and we'll also take those questions. But in general, I've been thinking. In fact, I've spent a lot of time yesterday, almost the entire night yesterday, to digest the information. Think of different strategies, think of different moves, what to kind of go for. Uh, Slightly tipping towards a particular direction, which is probably going to surprise a few. I also was kind of surprised when I was thinking about a wild card, for example, in game week 24, because I think not a lot of people, will kind of go towards that direction. But we'll generally talk about the popular strategies, the popular moves that people are going to do. Of course, one of them is triple captaining Salah in game week 26 with that lovely double game week fixtures. But in general, I think we'll just skim through. We'll just talk about probably in a little more detail as well. In case if you have any questions regarding that, so please feel free to add those in the comments as well. Hey Ansh, hi, welcome to the stream. I think it's been some time that you joined us, but really happy that you could join us today. Thank you so much for your wishes as well. Shakib, thank you so much again. It's just been crazy. I mean, the kind of love that I've got over the last I think it's throughout the journey of this channel of Insanely Football, or of me being on YouTube or on Instagram. But I think the last week has been really overwhelming. Going with Trent from Liverpool in game week 24 and 25 could kill my rank, but we manifest a green arrow. I mean, yeah, there was, in fact, there was so much FPL going on in my mind last night. I had a dream about captaining Trent in the double game week 26, where I think majority of the people who are going to use the triple captainship, at least, even if they're not captaining, but if they are using the triple captainship, I think majority of them are going to go towards Salah. And even if you captain Salah, you might end up losing rank and losing points. So that's how crazy it can get. But yeah, I mean, going for Trent, super risky. He's still been very good from an attacking sense. Liverpool have been okay, even from a clean sheet perspective. I think they have the potential to keep 2 clean sheets, at least in those games. I generally don't expect Trent to get rested. Salah, maybe again, maybe we think that he might not play in game week 24. Klopp has said that he and Mane will be ready, or will be available at least, for the game week 24 game. But again, I personally think it's highly unlikely that Salah or Mane, whosoever probably wins it, maybe gets a couple of more days, maybe a week off. We don't know that. But I think in general, at least one of them is definitely not going to play. Let's hope it's Salah, because I think another dilemma and another huge question in everybody's mind who don't have Salah right now is to how to kind of how the heck do we get Salah in our teams, because there's so much going on. There's so many options now, especially and there's so many directions that you can also look at, right? When you look at your teams, when you look at the upcoming game weeks, and what kind of fixtures you can target, I think there are multiple directions that you can go towards. So probably we'll just start about talking about meta strategy. I think that's probably is going to be a good starting point to this whole discussion. But I think in general, we'll probably just yeah. I mean, I just had a comment. Having a dream about FPL right after your marriage is some level. I mean, absolutely. I've got a few comments on Instagram as well, where people have told me that now, of course, you've gotten married, and probably go to your honeymoon, go for a vacation. You probably deserve a break and all that stuff. But surprisingly, it was my wife and the co-creator. Again, I don't know how many people know this, but she is the co-creator of the channel. In fact, all these lovely creatives on Instagram or on YouTube, whatever you see is absolutely done by her. I have absolutely no idea in terms of the creative side of things. I generally look into the content and the football stuff, which is probably I am aware of and I know of. But all these lovely things that you see on the screen is absolutely hers entirely. But yeah, so she was telling me that I think it's been some time that we guys have taken a break, and it's important to get back. And yeah, that's the stage we are at. And maybe someday, maybe sometime, we'll probably do a stream together, in case if you guys would be interested to meet her as well. I think it'll be interesting. But yeah, in general, I was missing FPL. In fact, there's another friend of mine who came for the wedding, who also generally joins us on the stream. And he was doing some, I think we were drinking or something like that. Something like that was happening. And he was making some transfers. I think he made some drunk transfers. Probably ended up getting really good points. In general, and I think that was the time I thought about it once. I was probably on the stage at one point of time, and I probably thought about it that deadline is approaching, and I'm sitting on stage clicking pictures with people, and there's so many people coming right on the stage, and they want to get pictures clicked with you. They want to meet you in person, and in my mind I had this split second thought that probably, oh my god, I'm probably going to miss the deadline. I can probably ask somebody or ask my friend to to log in from my ID, change my team, change my players. But then I just looked at my wife, looked at her, and I was like, okay, let's not do that. I think we'll probably just end up in trouble, and then you definitely don't want that on your wedding day. So yeah, but I don't know. I'm just hooked to the game, to be honest. Even if I was not really creating content, which has just happened, probably about a year or so ago. In general, I would be very hooked to the game because it's just how I play or I react to the game, right? And some people would call it dedication. Some people would call it madness at the end of the day because it's just a game, right? And we know that how people are or how crazy people are for the fantasy game. But yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I think she plays. In fact, you won't believe the first season that we played, or she played FPL. She actually beat me. Of course, I did a little bit help. I won't say that I didn't help her in general, but I think yeah, it was a bit surprising. I'll be really really honest. Because I have, again, that time I was of course not creating content, probably not even looking into too much. I won't say too much FPL, but I think I was not really looking at the game this deep. Probably since the last year or so, where I've started creating content. But yeah, I kind of helped her a little bit. Ended up, getting beaten in her first year, and I've had taunts and I've had comments all across. That this was my first year and I actually beat you, and you've been playing this game for so long. And yeah, I call it beginner's luck, but I don't know. I mean, probably should not say this out in the open, but yeah, that's what happened. She generally plays it. Again, she has certain stigmas around FPL. You won't believe that there was this one season, in fact last season, where she captained Salah the entire season. I mean, when Salah was available, she captained Salah, and he ended up, doing pretty decently. This season, it's been Ronaldo, of course. It's probably not gone down too well, but she has these, faithfuls in terms of FPL. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Again, that's just one way of playing FPL. And that's her way of playing FPL. So yeah, but yeah, I think she's a pretty good player. She reads again, I won't say as much as me, but yeah, I think she still reads about what what's happening in the FPL space. She also watches my videos or our videos, and she at least gets a sense of what's happening in the FPL community as well. So yeah, I think probably this year is her rank is probably outside the 100K, but in general her rank has been pretty decent. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, we started this channel together, and it is our baby because we of course didn't know what to expect, what to do, or or where this channel will go. But I think it's been really really good. I mean, of course, so there are some channels who are doing, or again, I won't say they're doing better or worse, but some channels who are growing at a much higher pace. Maybe some channels are also probably even growing at a much smaller or a slower pace as well, but I think that's absolutely fine. I mean, everyone has their own journey, and it's probably just unfair to compare to other channels and other people. I think everybody's really doing a great job in terms of whatever they're doing, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram as well. There are a lot of channels who are just Instagram based channels, and they're also doing pretty well. So I think it's a space where you get a lot of love and you get a lot of support, and I think all of us growing together really marks the kind of growth the FPL community is having in general. I mean, in India as well, I think this game is really going to blow up in the next few years. We have generally seen a steady increase in terms of the people playing it year on year, and as compared to probably let's say about 5 or 6, maybe even 10 years before, there were hardly a handful of people who used to play FPL in general. I think all of us have also not been that old in terms of playing the game, but I think in general, I think this is really gonna go places, and I think this game is gonna get really really popular in the coming time. Yeah, I mean, happy to do a stream with her as well. I think it'll be interesting. Of course, she's a bit scared, or she might be a bit scared about people quizzing her about FPL in general. But I think it'll be an interesting stream. But we'll see, we'll see. Probably at around 1,000 subscribers, maybe something like that. We can also do a stream together, but we'll see. Hi Brian, thank you so much for your lovely wishes as well. So yeah, so that's been happening. How are you guys doing? I mean, what have you guys been doing? I know last week was a bit tricky for all of you, or this, the last game week is still not ended. And in general, what were the moves that you did? Because I actually didn't get any time to catch up on what you guys generally did. Of course, the double game week news was also pretty late, and maybe a few, or maybe a lot of people couldn't react to it. I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, I really feel for people who went Dennis captain. I mean, you FPL just can't get worse for all FPL managers in general, right? I mean, he's been doing decent. I know a lot of people went King instead of Dennis. King has not been doing that great. Dennis still kind of was doing okay. Now, of course, King blanked. Dennis got a red card. So it's all been happening, right? And I think all of us really had high expectations from the Watford, from the Watford forwards. They have generally not done that great, and a lot of people are, in fact, in spite of their double game week, and that's also a viable move. Don't get surprised if you see people shipping out Watford strikers and probably getting somebody else, maybe a Kane, maybe a Ronaldo, by adding some more money in their forward line. I mean, that's a viable strategy, that's a viable move to do as well. But yeah, I think a lot of people, or at least a few of them, could be definitely going off Dennis, if not King, or if not both. A lot of people also have both in their teams, and I think that's a very tricky situation to be in, because now you have, I won't say there are a lot of options still among the forward line, but yeah, I mean there are still some options that you can go for, at least in the next couple of weeks. So on to Sterling. I mean, yeah, that this is the wedding season, or this is the time where you actually have a lot of weddings across the country. I mean, in so my wedding was in Amritsar, and I think during those 4 5 days there were a lot of weddings. In fact, the morning that I got married, it was a Gurdwara wedding. So the tradition was Sikh tradition, through the Sikh wedding, and in fact, we generally had, like, particular time through which we could get married, and do the whole celebration, and the whole thing. And there were 3 or 4 marriages happening at the same time as well, so it has been a pretty crazy time. In fact, I'm going to one wedding by the end of this month. Hopefully won't be missing any content. Would be planning videos and all that stuff a lot before, so that I generally don't miss it, you guys don't miss anything, because this month, I think, is generally going to be pretty crucial for the FPL season. I think it's probably make or break this time. Brian, you're on a red arrow at the moment. Need King to score tomorrow and De Gea to come on for Foster, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I think Foster will yeah, could be a tricky one. King, yeah, not too hopeful, to be very honest. I mean, Watford have done okay. They've not done that great, to be very honest. I know it's Burnley still. I mean, they can still do well against Burnley, but in general, I think not very very convinced with Watford. One thing that could change is that with Roy Hudson coming in, I think their defense is going to be slightly better. I mean, it's still going to be more organized. I can't really say that they will start keeping clean sheets, but he's generally a manager who resolves all the issues, or at least has a sound back four is what he generally plays. So their defense is probably going to get a lot better, but we'll see. I mean, still not very very hopeful. Not very confident in terms of attack. They really are missing Sar, to be honest, and the King Dennis combination is probably not really working out right now. But yeah, we'll see. Boards and JE go is going on, and FPL was my escape from the stress, but the last game week didn't really help. Still have Foster and King left. I mean, yeah, FPL is generally a good escape from reality. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think in general, it's just something that you gets your mind off a lot of things. I mean, if you're in stress, or if you are looking for an escape, I think FPL is a a space where you can really, really get lost. I mean, I'm not saying it in a negative way, to be honest, but I think, yeah, I've seen a lot of people who drown themselves in FPL because of XYZ negative reasons and all that stuff. But yeah, in general, I think, I mean, if you played the right way, I think it's a really interesting game, to be honest. Triple captain of free hit for game week 26. I think so. Triple captain is going to be the most popular option. In fact, I'll just quickly open up that screen so that we can probably talk about that. And let me just put up that screen. Okay, this is the wrong one, I think. I'll just search for it. But yeah, I think yeah. So triple captain is, I think, is going to be the most popular option. Triple captain Salah. I think Salah has the best set of fixtures. If you look at the fixtures in game week 26, I think Salah is really standing out. To be very honest, both the fixtures are pretty good. So he's definitely the most popular option. I mean, Norwich and Leeds United, I mean, it doesn't really get better than that. Both defenses not that great. Salah, I think I'm expecting Salah to get rested at least in one of Leicester and Burnley. I mean, even if he doesn't get rested, he might has or might have his minutes managed. So that's really, really, warning signs for people who are probably going against Salah as captain in general. I think triple captain is going to be really, really popular. So if you're going to play a bit safer, I think triple captain is one thing that you should definitely have in mind, because you have to get in Salah. I mean, it probably would be really hard to play without Salah for the next week. In fact, right? We are expecting him to get rested against Leicester, but might happen, might not happen. But in general, I think I personally am looking at a triple captain myself. The other option is if I play a wild card in game week 24, which is which is a possibility in game week 24, playing the wild card for me. I might just be tempted to play a bench boost in game week 26 again, but that's a very personal strategy. We'll probably talk about strategy as well. But for me, I think it's between triple captain and bench boost. But you can also free hit in game week 26. I mean, if you don't have if you don't have players from Arsenal, players from Liverpool, I think it's a good time to get those players in. Of course, then they don't play in game week 27. So that could really help you. So in case if you are really light on Liverpool, let's say if you've sold Salah, maybe you don't have Trent, or maybe you don't have Jota, for example, you don't have a lot of Arsenal players, maybe you just have one Arsenal player. And as a combination, you probably just have two or three Liverpool plus Arsenal players. Then I think playing the free hit in game week 26, going all out on Arsenal and Liverpool, I think that could be a very viable strategy as well. So I think it'll depend on your team, but the popular strategy is going to be triple captain Salah, majority triple captain a Liverpool player or Liverpool attacker in game week 26, and a lot of people who at least or who have both their chips available. I know a lot of people and I have included myself as well in this conversation. A lot of people have two free hits available. So if you're one of them, I think, and if you're looking to play your free hit chip, I think game week 27 is a decent week to play in. Of course, it's not a mandate to play your free hit chip in game week 27. I think it still depends on your team and on your squad. So if you can field maybe 9 to 10 players, and let's say if you have your Liverpool triple up, maybe a couple of players from Liverpool, you have at least, let's say, two players from Arsenal. So probably you have 4 to 5 players who are not playing. So that'll probably leave you with, let's say, nine not players that are playing in your team for that game week 27, right? You can, if you have a couple of transfers, you can easily get to 11. If you have one transfer, you can get to 10. You can also take a hit. You can take out probably one of the Liverpool attackers. Maybe if you feel that Jota is probably not going to get minutes, which could be a possibility. Again, we're not saying that that will definitely happen, but let's say if that becomes a possibility, you can get rid of Jota and get in somebody else, maybe an Aston Villa player, maybe an Aston Villa midfielder. We might get some more information regarding the Villa Burnley fixture in game week 27. That could be a double game week for both teams. I mean, that's also a possibility. So we can get somebody like a Cornet, for example, which is going to be a huge differential. Another option could be to go for one of the Villa players, for example, maybe a Coutinho, maybe a Ramsey if you are saving some money. I mean, these are viable options if that game week 27 has this double, which will be Villa versus Burnley. I mean, that could be one of the double game weeks in game week 27. So yeah, so I mean, it totally depends on your team, but the popular strategy is going to be definitely one of the free hits in game week 27. Another week that you can use your free hit is game week 30, and I think that's also a viable strategy. I mean, there's going to be a huge blank game week in game week 30. We'll probably just look at that. Let me just take that out. Yeah. So I hope you can see the screen here. And there is a possibility that, we can get a you know, uh, massive blank game week in game week 30. And so we have one fixture that is definitely confirmed, which is your Aston Villa versus Arsenal. So if you have Villa players, if you have Arsenal players, I think that's really going to help you in game week 30 because both of them are not in the FA Cup. A few of them, again, let's say Everton's playing Brentford. So if Everton go through, then I think that game again can go as well because Watford is not in the FA Cup. When you look at Burnley versus Southampton, again, Southampton's playing Coventry, and you would expect Southampton to beat Coventry. So then Burnley versus Southampton would also kind of fall into that game. So that'll be three fixtures if nothing out of the blue happens and there are no surprises. Then again, Palace is playing it's Hartlepool. So you would expect Palace to win as well. So I think in general we could have as little as two fixtures if there are a lot of surprises, maybe two or three fixtures. Maybe they're about 5 or 6 games. So I think depending on what players and what teams go through, I mean you can also play that chip or the free hit chip in game week 30. I think that's a viable strategy. Now a lot of people only have one chip or one free hit chip available. And if you're one of those, I think then I don't think so. It makes a lot of sense unless your team is in a really bad shape for game week 27. And even if with a couple of moves, with a couple of transfers, you cannot really make a lot of changes, then 27 becomes a viable option. Otherwise, I think game week 30 is a lot better. Of course, there are more chances or more game weeks to also play your free hit chip. If you have one, if you can navigate game week 27 and game week 30, I think that's absolute gold because there will be I think game week 33 will have blanks, doubles as well. So I think that's going to be a bit tricky to navigate, depending of course depending on the fixtures and what we generally get. Then game week 36 could be a huge double game week as well. I've seen a lot of people in general who are also thinking of playing their wildcards in game week 35, which is again a viable strategy. But I think in general that time is a bit tricky to use your wildcard because till that time there'll be a lot of teams who might get relegated or who might stop competing for the top 4, top 5, top 6, and then you might see a lot of rotation there as well. So there are all these different factors, different elements that you will face at that time, and there could be a lot of unknown information at that particular time. So I think for me, I think it's a lot better. The wildcard at least is a lot better in, let's say, game week 28, because then you can target players from Chelsea, for example, players from Arsenal, for example, even Villa players, for example. You can also play it in 31. Let's say you dead end your team in game week 30 and you kind of navigate your blank with maybe a free hit, without a free hit. But then with game week from game week 31, of course, we will have certain information about 31, 32, 33. What are the doubles that are happening in those particular weeks? At least I think we'll definitely get some information. So you can also play a wild card in game week 31. I mean, that's also a viable strategy. So I mean, and there are different routes and different ways to go about this. I really don't think so there's a right or a wrong here. It also depends on your team and your direction in terms of what you want to do, what chances you want to take, what kind of players you are targeting, whether you're really looking at Arsenal, Liverpool players. Do you have a plan to navigate those blank game weeks when you have those Arsenal players? So I think there's a lot to be thought of. I think this weekend is also probably going to give us some information in terms of what are the blanks or what are the possible blanks happening in game week 30. So I think that probably also kind of gives you a little bit more information, at least in terms of where to use a free hit and probably which direction to kind of go towards. So I think, of course, there's a lot to take. Of course, we are also looking for more information in terms of making these informed choices. But I think in general, yeah, there's absolutely no right or wrong. Am I considering a wildcard for your team to attack 25 and 26? Yeah, I think I actually am, to be honest. I did a wildcard post, I think today morning on Instagram, morning or afternoon, where I spoke about, or where the post spoke about, a wildcard draft in general. I think I really liked the wildcard draft, to be honest. Let me just quickly open my team again. So this is my team. As you can see, I have Trent, Sufal, Cancelo, I have Ramsdale in goal, Son, Gray, Jota, Bowen, Smith Rowe. So Ronaldo, Antonio, and then I have Emerson Royale on the bench, King, and Livramento. I'm not very happy, to be honest, with the team. I mean, there are definitely 5 or 6 players that I really want to change. Of course, Sufal was a decent option, with West Ham's fixtures and all that stuff. But now with West Ham not having any double game weeks, not even having any, maybe a possible blank, I'm not too sure. But I think in general, if I would really be looking at a single game week defender right now, I'll probably be looking at, somebody like a Cancelo, for example. If of course in my team I already have Cancelo. Other than that, I probably would be looking to get in a Villa defender. I think Luka Digne is a really good option. I mean, he's really attacking. He can get assists, good for bonus points as well. Villa can get clean sheets. I mean, yes, it could be a bit trickier than somebody like a Cancelo getting a clean sheet, but I think in general, not very happy with Soufal. I mean, he ticks along. The fixtures not too bad for West Ham. I mean, if I see the fixtures, Watford, Leicester, Newcastle, the next 3 are decent. Then Wolves, Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham. I mean, not the greatest fixtures out there. So that's definitely one player I would want to change. I don't want to have Gray as well. I know Gray has decent fixtures. He has Newcastle, Leeds, Southampton. They're all okay games, but I think there are better ways to attack. The next 2 to 3 game weeks. Smith Rowe is also somebody who I'm expecting that he will get minutes now that Aubameyang is gone, so he's not going to play that left forward. Hopefully, there's a lot of talk that Martinelli could play in that number 9 spot, because we've seen that Lacazette generally, with the shorter turnaround times with games coming thick and fast, it generally becomes a little difficult for Lacazette to play in all these games and last for 90 minutes. So there's a definite chance that Martinelli plays up top as a number 9. And in that case, that could also be to accommodate Smith Rowe, who would be definitely playing out wide. So yeah, I'm not too confident about him. I would probably have been a little more confident if I had Martinelli, to be honest. But yeah, that's what it is. Ronaldo, again, he's okay because he has a double game week. I think it probably is not the best decision to take out Ronaldo now ahead of the double game week. Yes, he's not been that great. He's not scored enough to justify his price, to justify captaincy. And I think with the system that United are playing right now, it's a 4-3-3, and we could see that as well going forward. We might not see the 4-2-2 or 2, which whatever that's the system that Ragniak used to play, or it was definitely not working out. So in a 4-3-3, I know Bruno's probably going to play a little deeper, but I think a lot of it is going to get through him. So he might get an assist. He might, he might get a goal as well. I know that he was a bit lucky with those 2 goals that he had, and it was a massive swing for people who got, Bruno in their teams, and the people who didn't go, and I was the one who didn't go for Bruno, and we really suffered badly to that particular haul. But in general, I think on one hand, you can say that Ronaldo would get a lot of service because Bruno would be the chief creator. I think majority of it is gonna flow through Bruno Fernandes. But I generally, if I didn't have both of them somehow, I would definitely prefer Bruno Fernandes. But again, going for Ronaldo to Bruno, that's going to cost me 2 transfers. Of course, I have 2 free transfers because I didn't make any transfers last week as well. But would I really want to do that? Maybe not. Antonio's again somebody who I'm not very comfortable with. Emerson Royale, I thought he's a great differential, but right now I'm not very confident that he's going to start, every game for Spurs. There is Sessegnon, there's Matt Doherty, and even Reguilon for that matter, right? He's probably also not nailed. King again, yes, he has a double game week. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Livramento. So there are at least 6 players, or at least 6 to 7 players that I'm not very confident of. And I think in general, having the wild card in game week 24, using it is probably not the worst decision. I know not a lot of people are considering it because they think that probably game week 28 is a better game week to target your wild card, because then you can target a few fixture swings. Probably game week 31, after you dead end your team in game week 30, to navigate that blank in game week 30, that's also a viable option. But I think in general, I'm just considering it again. I'm not probably I'm a 60-40 in favor of the wild card right now, but yeah, it's still not a guaranteed thing that I will be definitely doing it. It's a decent differential way to attack 25 and 26. And that probably also gives me an opportunity to go a bit different, not use a triple captainship on Salah, and maybe just go for bench boost. Because I mean, of course, you might think that two really really good fixtures from an attacking sense, Salah can get 2-3 goals, even if he plays 100 odd minutes, or maybe 120 minutes across both games, which I don't think so would be the case. In general, still I feel he's going to do well in those fixtures. Now, there's an argument. I mean, just hear me out. There is an absolute argument to be made here where you can consider a triple captain Salah at one end, and then you can compare it with a bench boost, depending on how many players you have who have a double game week, or how many good single game week fixture players you have for that week. And let's say if you have a good bench, a playing bench, maybe with a couple of players who have a a double game week fixture. I mean, that could possibly still outscore Salah, with that additional captaincy that you might be losing on. Of course, you would definitely lose out at least maybe 60 to 70%, maybe even more, maybe slightly less effective ownership on Salah. So even if you captain Salah, you might end up losing points. But I think in general, I mean, it's still a conversation to be had. I mean, might still do triple captain Salah at the end of it, because that's probably the safer play. But yeah, so that wildcard really gives me a lot of options to to go for. The wildcard also gives me an option to not use my free hit chip in game week 27. I can navigate 27 without a free hit. So I will be having two free hits, and I can easily use one of them in game week 30, and then possibly one in game week 33, or maybe even 36. So there are options that the wildcard could give me, and it's probably not the worst time to use it. Free hit in 26 might create a better team, but can still produce a red arrow as many. Yeah, I mean, free hit in 26 is also a viable strategy, but I think you still end up buying the same players, right? You would still, let's say, if you free hit in game week 26, majority of your players are going to be, let's say, 3 Liverpool, 3 Arsenal. Maybe you go for a Spurs player. Apart from that, which other players would you actually go for? I mean, Crystal Palace, yes, you can go for Edward, but again, one of the games is Chelsea, so technically it's one fixture against Watford, which is not bad. You can go for a fifth midfielder as Rafinha, but both the fixtures are actually tricky. United at home, Liverpool away are not easy games, so that also could be a tricky one. Spurs, as I mentioned, you might go for maybe a Son, maybe a Kane. It's difficult to go for a Spurs defender because, to be honest, I really don't know which defender is going to start. Probably the safest option right now is probably going for Dyer, because I think Dyer is probably going to be among those three defenders which Conte would be playing at the back. Now Romero is also back, so that's also a slight advantage for the Spurs defense. I mean, they can slightly, or they would, I think, slightly get better in terms of keeping clean sheets. So yes, you can go for a Spurs defender. Maybe you can go for a United player as well, because of course there are double game week teams and double game week fixtures, but there are some teams who also have a decent single game week. I mean, Man United don't have the worst game. They're playing Leeds, and I think we've seen that there are a lot of goals in general in that particular derby fixture. So you can actually consider that. Of course, you would be going for 3 Liverpool, as I said. Everton is playing Southampton, probably won't look there. Aston Villa again is a team playing Watford, which is a decent fixture in my opinion. So you could have somebody like a Coutinho, maybe a Watkins in your attack. Let's say if you're probably going for a second cheap striker, maybe all three cheap strikers, then Watkins is also is a decent option to go for. So I mean, a lot of people would be having these similar players, especially on a free hit. Of course, you would want to have at least 11 doublers, or maybe a crux 11, which will have at least 11 players who have a double game week. But it could get still tricky because there are still, in fact, that could also be a decent way to differentiate from other people, right? A lot of people who probably are not going for free hit would have a slightly different structure. They might not be able to get to those 9, 10, 11 players. But yes, people who are using the free hit chip, I think majority of the squad is going to be quite similar. And if you have one free hit chip available, would you really want to use it there? Might not be the ideal strategy in my opinion. And as you're saying, Shan, right? Like a lot of people would be using triple captain, bench boost. So the average points per for that particular game week, I think it's going to be a lot higher. Of course, there are different ways to get to those points, and triple captain could also give you a decent haul. Bench boost could also give you a decent haul. So the free hit in 26 might not be very very effective, to be very honest. Final coming up after Leeds, so Salah might get rested for sure. Yeah, I mean there is a chance that Salah could get rested, but I mean he definitely would be. He we know that he's a fitness piece. He's a fitness monster. He doesn't really get subbed off as well. But I think realistically speaking, I think Salah would be, getting a rest. It's very hard to imagine that, he's going to play Leicester, Burnley, Norwich, Leeds, plus the Champions League games as well, plus the final as well. So I think he's definitely going to get some rest. But again, it's actually quite tricky to go without Salah. I mean, you can still manage next game week, maybe. Let's hope and assume that he doesn't play, but I definitely think that he plays the Burnley game. I definitely think he plays at least one of Norwich and Leeds, maybe even both, and he's probably subbed off. So yeah, I mean it's actually hard to go without Salah at this moment because he's gonna have a really high ownership. He's been doing really well. He's been playing well, and I think not having Salah is probably not the risk that you would want to take. Many content creators are saying that Liverpool triple up was basically essential, but if you have only one free hit left like me, then I have feel four players from Arsenal, Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, so if you have a free hit, I still feel. So if you were, let's say on a wild card, I'd probably agree with you where you actually go for 4 to 5 players from Arsenal and Liverpool to kind of carefully balance out the blank in game week 27. But if you are on a free hit and if you have one free hit, I mean, I think maxing out on Liverpool and Arsenal is probably the right way to go because Liverpool, and it's not that you really have to go for Jota, the popular three or the template three of Salah, Jota, and a Trent. I mean, you can do the alternate route. You can go for the alternate strategy where you actually go for a double up on Trent and Robertson, and other than that, you actually you get Salah to which is kind of a safety net, which is a good captaincy option for that week as well. So there are options that you can go for, and there are ways to differentiate. I know for a fact that Tsimikas is probably also going to get some minutes because I think Robertson could get rested for a game or two, so he could also enter the conversation. But again, I think that's a bit too risky. We don't know how Diaz or how Mane or maybe how Firmino is gonna line up or how many minutes are they gonna get. So I think that is probably not the route that you take. But I think there are ways that you can differentiate. And you don't really have to go for the template Liverpool and Arsenal picks. Even in Arsenal, for example, right? I know not a lot of people would be talking about Lacazette. I mean, if you are really going very heavy on Arsenal, maybe a triple up on Arsenal with the double up on the attack. Let's say you combine Martinelli and Lacazette, and then you have one defender. Then I think that's one case where you actually get Lacazette in your team. But I don't think so. In general, a lot of people would be going for Lacazette because Martinelli again is cheaper. He's probably gonna get more minutes, and he's probably a lot more attacking. Lacazette probably would end up coming in a bit deeper and probably trying to connect and trying to feed the inside forwards that probably a Saka or a Martinelli. So yeah, I mean, but again, that's still a different way to play the game. That's a differential you can actually go for. You can actually go for a double up in defense, which I'm pretty sure not a lot of people would be doing. Of course, it's risky. It's Arsenal at the end of the day. They've been doing well. They've been keeping clean sheets. But yeah, that's also one way to actually do it. Is it worth considering if you get triple Arsenal, for example, it might force you to free hit in game week 27, but then you can save it for game week 30. It's definitely one of them. So I mean, so if you let's say let's assume that you're not using your wild card, for example, you just would be making regular moves. I think a viable strategy is to actually go for 4 to 5. 5 maybe you can avoid five, maybe you can actually go for four players. Definitely not six, because then it'll be very difficult for you to field the playing 11, because you will be missing six players. So you can actually go for, maybe five players. That'll leave you with, five non-playing players for game week 27. Of course, you might not want to, get rid of your Liverpool, like the Salahs, maybe Trent, for example, maybe a Robertson, for example. But you can get rid of your Arsenal players, because Arsenal, yes, they blank in 27. Then they have Watford, Leicester, Villa. I mean, it's okay. It's not the easiest run of fixtures. I mean, the fixtures are okay. I mean, they're not really bad at all. But you can get, different players. You can get different options in that particular price. There are options. There are different teams who would be having, better run of fixtures. You can go for Villa players. You can go for Chelsea players, for example. So there are different routes that you can take. But yeah, I definitely won't say that. Let's say if you are not planning to use your free hit chip in game week 27, maybe if you have one, maybe if you have two, and you generally don't want to use it, that's absolutely okay. And you can, avoid having those. So it's a balancing act at the end of the day, right? You might end up losing out on a player, or maybe a player on an average, maybe a player uh, who doesn't give you, a double game week fixture for 26, but then you probably have a transfer or a player more for game week 27, and then that's probably gonna, maybe end up giving you 10 or maybe even 11 players with a hit. I mean, taking a hit in game week 27 is also probably not the worst idea, because generally people who won't be playing their free hit chips, would be definitely taking hits, because in general the psyche of FPL is like that, where, the casual players would definitely try to go for as many Arsenal and Liverpool players, try to gain advantage, try to get, a hold of maximum double game week players, and that might actually, be a little advantages for you as well. So I mean, of course, there's a different side of the argument as well, where you can absolutely play a free hit chip. You don't really have to worry about Arsenal, Liverpool players, and then you continue with them from game week 28, where they have okay fixtures. I mean, Liverpool also has yeah, they have a tricky run. I mean, West Ham, Brighton, Man United, but it's Liverpool attack at the end of the day, and they still end up scoring goals. So I won't be really worried too much there. Yeah, I mean, going for the free hit in 27 and 30. So if you have both your chips available, then one of the game weeks is definitely an option. I mean, I still like game week 30 more than game week 27. If you can field 9 to 10 players, maybe get to 11 with the hit, it's absolutely fine, because people will be taking a lot of hits. The average number of hits will be a lot higher, because a lot of people would be, on double triples of Liverpool and Arsenal. But yeah, if you just have one free hit available, then I'll probably still favor 30. If you can avoid 30, I'll probably just leave it a little bit for later as well, especially if you've already used your wild card in game week 28, for example. And uh, and in case if you are in a tight spot where, considering, of course, we will know the fixtures by this weekend of game week 30, so we'll understand what blanks do we have in game week 30. And you can also use your even if you have one single free hit available, you can still use it in game week 30. I think game week 30 is still a better week to do it. But again, the counter argument to this is that game week 30, let's say if it has four or five fixtures, the average number of players playing that week will be a lot lesser in general. I mean, probably about 8 to 9 is probably going to be the average. So if you have 6 or 7 players, maybe with a hit you get to 8 or maybe 9 players, I still feel that is absolutely fine. I mean, you don't have to get 11 players, you don't have to get the entire squad through or off those 4 5 fixtures, because we've seen that these kind of games or these kind of game weeks are generally low scoring game weeks, and they're not going to define your FPL season. Let me tell you, game week 30 is not going to define your FPL season. So that navigating that game week without a free hit is also a very viable option, and you can probably save it for the later doubles. And there will be, maybe individual double game weeks in 31, 32, 33 could also be a double game week. 36 is definitely a big double game week. So there are options that, you can use or you can think of when you're thinking of your free hit chip. I mean, yeah, you can get the doublers and free hit in gaming 27. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. You don't really have to think about the Arsenal Liverpool players, and I think that that's gonna be a very very straightforward strategy. So uh, not really against it, to be honest. Do you think getting rid of Cristiano is a sensible option? Once Pogba and Bruno play in tandem, chances will be created from. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm a little worried about. Now that Pogba is fit, I think Ragnac is definitely going to play Pogba. Still not sure where is he going to play Pogba. Whether he's going to play him as an eight with Bruno Fernandes, whether he's going to play him, on the left side among those three attacking players, attacking forwards that we have. That's something that I really want to see, and probably the coming games are going to give us an idea. Maybe before the double in game week 25 we get some idea in terms of where Pogba is fitting into the system, because if Pogba is fitting into the system, I think it's probably going to be bad for Bruno rather than Ronaldo, to be very honest. I mean, I think more than the center, or more than taking up Ronaldo's space, Pogba is actually going to occupy spaces which generally Bruno occupies on the field. So going by that logic, I think Bruno would be slightly more affected, to be very honest, than Ronaldo. But I generally don't like Ronaldo, as an option at the moment. I still feel there are. I mean, if I really, really had to, go for one United player, I'd probably go for Bruno Fernandes at the moment. I can still do, a transfer where I, let's say, get rid of maybe a Gray, for example, and Ronaldo, and I can get to a Kevin De Bruyne. I probably won't get Salah this week because now that he's in the AFCON final, I mean, he can still play against Leicester and we can all get burned, because I think a lot of people are not going for Salah this particular week. I mean, few of us are thinking of getting Salah, but I think the majority consensus in the community is that Salah would be, getting rested for this particular game week, the coming game week. So I can definitely take out Gray. I can go to a Bruno, for example. I can take out Son and go to a Bruno. I think that's the easier move because I also have the money for that, and I can have Bruno for the next couple of weeks. And gaming 26, I can straight away get to uh, get to a Salah, for example. But am I okay having Ronaldo and Bruno as a double up? I'm not too sure on that. I know that they have a double game week, so I'll probably have an extra player for game week 25. But again, not very, very convinced. Still not very convinced with United and their attack, to be honest. I mean, it generally gives people a hard time, going for one, and in this case, we'll be going for two United attackers, probably a bit too much. Shubham, thank you so much for your wishes. Thank you, really, really thank you. You can keep Gray, to be honest. And as a Chelsea fan, I know that Lampard does like white players. I mean, yeah, and they're quite essential as they might play a 4-2-3-1. Absolutely. I mean, Lampard is definitely going to play attacking football. I think he's going to definitely play on front foot football. Benitez is always been a defensive minded coach. He's always defense first. So that's definitely a strategy which Lampard's not going to use. I'm still expecting the defense to tighten up, but I think yeah, I mean, I can keep Gray. I can definitely keep Gray, but let's say if I go for a Bruno Fernandes, for example, is Bruno gonna outscore Gray over the next 2 to 3 game weeks? Maybe, because yes, he has a double, but again, I mean, it's a tricky one, to be honest. Yes, Gray is also a differential, so I'll be taking a bit of a risk going Gray because I don't think so. A lot of people still would have him. With Bruno, I think it's slightly safer because he's also a good captainable option. I mean, a lot of people who don't have Ronaldo in their team in game week 25, in when United have a double game week, I generally feel that his ownership is probably going to be, his effective ownership is probably going to be close to 100%, maybe even slightly more, right? And that's where you start thinking whether you want to take that chance with somebody like a Gray, of course, who's a differential, but or would you just want to play a bit safer and get to Bruno? Because again, I'm not saying that Ronaldo is not going to score or he can't score, but I generally, with how things are going, and I think the FA Cup game will also kind of give us some inkling in terms of what's happening. Maybe the next game week as well. So game week 24 game against Burnley, I think that will also give us some idea in terms of how United are lining up, because now Greenwood's not there, Martial is not there. Ilanga is definitely one option, but I'm not again 100% sure that he's gonna get a regular starts. Rashford is genuinely a good differential, so Rashford could also enter into the conversation. So there are a lot of options that I can actually go for. I mean, I can do a Son to a Rashford, get an extra player for the double game week, But then that means that I have to probably make an extra transfer because I would definitely not want to have Ronaldo, Rashford. Uh, I would still not want to have two, United players for game week 26. I think that's probably wasting one player who could have a double game week. But again, I can still make that move, still make that transfer, and get in. Of course, I'll be getting in Salah, but I can get in a Son if I, get rid of Son. But that's just one extra transfer that I have to do. I can get rid of Ronaldo as well. I can go cheap and get more value in my midfield. So that's also, a viable strategy, which might not be too wrong. Are you playing a free hit? I'm not. I'm definitely not playing my free hit. I think with my current team, the way I'm looking at this right now is probably wildcarding this week. Of course, I'm not gonna do it right away or right now. I'll probably be doing it closer to the deadline where we probably have more information on the blanks in game week 30, and we have some more information. Maybe we get some more information on the double game week for Villa and Burnley in 27 as well. Or Burnley already have a double game week in 26. They can also have a double game week in 27. Even if it's not Villa, I think they can still have a double game week. So I'll probably wait as much as I can before pressing that button. But that's definitely one option. In case if I don't play the wild card, I think the idea would be to at least I really want I really wanted a city attacker for this particular game week because I think somebody like a KDB is a prime captaincy option. I think Brentford are really bad, in terms of their defense. I know they've not conceded a lot of goals in general, but I think they still have conceded a lot of chances. Man City and Kevin De Bruyne in general at home, I think he can run riot. I mean, he would be pretty close to full fitness. I think he's got a break as well, so I think there is a good chance that Kevin De Bruyne could get close to 15-20 points. And I mean that's also a viable option that I can go for. But am I comfortable holding him for game week 25 as well, where I probably would have I can actually then transfer him out for Fernandes, and then in 26 I can actually transfer Fernandes out for Salah. I mean, I can do that as well, but does it sound viable? I'm still not too sure about that. There are a couple of players that I really need to change or I want to change. I mean, yes, Royale is from Tottenham. He might give me a double game week, but I'm not too sure in terms of whether he's going to start, fixtures in the coming games. I mean, he can still start games, but with Doherty also in the mix, I mean, it's a bit tricky. I'm still not too sure that he's done enough from an attacking sense because, yes, he's a good defender, but when you compare him with Matt Doherty, who's more of a natural player, playing in that wing backs position, I think Doherty again. It's very hard to predict because I can't say with certainty that Doherty has done enough to guarantee his place as the wing back now, and Emerson doesn't get a start. But yeah, not too comfortable there. Livramento again, I can have a better player. In place of Livramento, I can actually have somebody like an eight, like an eight Nuri, for example, from Wolves. I can go, maybe Veltman on a wild card is not the worst shout. Maybe a Dallo as well, who looks that who he could be nailed again. We can't say that with certainty at all, but I think Dallo is also somebody who could feature at least in the couple of in, in the next 2 game weeks or the next 3 or 4 fixtures. He at least plays two, and let's hope that he plays that double in 25 because that could really give me an additional player with a double game week in game week 25, which I think is certainly lacking at the moment because I don't have any Brighton players. I generally don't expect to get a Brighton player. If I'm on a wild card, I'll probably go Ramsdale and Sanchez with an additional player, for the Brighton double as well. You have both your free hits available. I mean, if you have both your free hits available, then 27 is a viable option. 30 as well is a viable option. If you can navigate 27 without a free hit, even if you have both your free hits available, 30 could still be a better week. If you can manage to field 10 to 11 players, without a free hit, I mean, it's still a pretty decent. Of course, depends on what kind of players you have in your team and what kind of fixtures do they have. But I think in general, if you have a good 9 to 10 player squad, maybe with a hit, maybe with a free transfer, you can get to 11. I think that's not the. I still feel in that scenario you can actually save your free hit. Your proposed team for 26 is Foster, Trent, White, Lucadinia, Ait Nouri, Bowen, Son, Salah, Rafinha. One of ESR, Saka, Martinelli, which also would be my pick, and Edward. I mean, yeah, I think for 26, of course, do you want to go Ronaldo? Maybe not. He just has one fixture. Maybe not even Kane. Not sure on Kane as well because you have Son, so you've covered a Tottenham attacker, and I think Son is the better player right now. Salah, of course, triple captain, looks pretty safe. Rafinha doesn't have the best fixture in 26, but you're still getting a player who could score. I mean, if Bamford's back, or even if Bamford's not back, I mean, Rafinha still leads best player by a distance. And if somebody's gonna do something for Leeds, I think it's definitely gonna come through Rafinha. So tough fixtures, but still might not be that bad. Your some Gallagher, I think a lot of I was getting a lot of questions about Gallagher, but Gallagher is not going to get a double game week because one of the fixtures that Palace is playing that week is against Chelsea. Chelsea is Gallagher's parent club, so he's not going to have a double game week, so he doesn't become an option. Maybe Olise. Or Olise, I don't know how you pronounce it, but he could become an option as well. He's going to be a great differential. Whether you really expect him to, not really expecting him to do anything against Chelsea, but Watford could be a different story. If they still concede the same amount of chances, the same amount of goals, I think it still could be okay. So yeah, overall pretty decent team. I mean, I would not really want to do a lot of changes here, and you know, yeah. Still, I'm still not too sure on the you know on the free hit. Like if this is a free hit team, maybe not too sure there. But yeah, as a squad, I think it's a pretty decent team. I can again, if you have the money, you can also go for Ramsdale instead of Foster. White could be Tierney as well. In my wildcard squad, I would definitely have Tierney. If I'm wildcarding or maybe even free hitting, if I can afford Tierney, I think that's definitely better. It's difficult to take down Bowen considering his form, and the fixture also is pretty okay. So I'll probably just keep him. But yeah, I mean you know you can get to Jota as well. There is a chance that you can probably downgrade Son because Son is playing one game against Man City, and I think I don't expect Tottenham to do much against Man City. So it's technically a single game week for Spurs as well. It's probably not a couple of games in that week. So Son could be a different player. So there are changes that you can do, but more or less the structure is I think is pretty decent, pretty good. We could get a glimpse of Bruno, Pogba, CR7. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can actually get to see what happens there. What time is the game? 1:30. So yeah, so I mean, we can actually understand, and based on that, we'll probably get more understanding in terms of how these guys are playing and if they're featuring. How is Ronaldo impacted? How is probably Bruno impacted? Because right now it's all speculation, right? But yeah, we'll see. Currently have Bruno and CR7 my team. I mean, it's okay. It's pretty decent for Game Week 25, but you probably would want to move at least one of them. Probably go Bruno to Salah if that's an easier route to get Salah. Probably downgrade Ronaldo to a cheaper forward and upgrade one of your maybe a mid-priced midfielder, maybe a cheaper midfielder to a Salah. I mean, that's also an option. You could get KDB for a few weeks until Salah returns. He could also, yeah. I mean, that's one plan as well. That I get KDB. So I have Son who can give me some value. Then I have Ronaldo and maybe a Gray or maybe even a Smith Rowe, for example. I mean, yes, I mean Smith Rowe can still start, but I'm not too sure on that. So I'll probably just take out. I still take out Gray. I'll probably just take out the guy who has a single game week fixture. So yeah, I can make value through Son, I can make value through Gray, I can make value through Ronaldo, and I can actually get a Bruno, a KDB, and a cheaper striker. That's probably going to cost me 4 points, 8 points in general, because then I have to shift again to one of them to Salah. But I mean, for a couple of weeks, KDB might not be a bad option. I'm just worried that I probably won't have Salah for game week 25, and I think yeah, a couple of weeks without Salah is just a bit. It's probably FOMO more than anything else. Where we know that Salah is gonna play. We know that he can still do well, and not having him, people captaining him, his ownership is probably gonna be more than 100%, and I think it's gonna be a bit risky. But yeah, I mean, absolutely fair point. I can definitely go for KDB, and who's probably going to be a decent differential. Akshay, thank you so much for the congrats. Thank you. Which Brighton player will you go for in Gaming 25 and who? I think definitely Sanchez. I mean, I still don't expect United to, not score against Brighton, but he can still get save points. Watford is a game that, Sanchez can get a clean sheet. So Sanchez is definitely one option that I can, or I will, if I had to go for somebody, he's definitely one of the decent players. I mean, in terms of defense, yes, you can go for Veltman, who's a cheaper option. You can also, I don't think so. Lamptey is probably going to play both games. He might get rested, or he might, come off at 60 minutes, maybe 70 minutes. So he might not end up playing 180 minutes for sure. So that way, Cucurella is a decent option, but Cucurella is pretty expensive. He's 5.1, and you probably can get better players in the coming run. I mean, yes, the double is decent, but then if it's a long term hold, I'll probably want somebody like a Luca Digne, for example, especially if the double off Villa is announced. But coming back to Brighton, I think I still would, if I really have to go for somebody, I'll probably just go for Veltman and try to get advantage of that clean sheet. I know Brighton have probably just kept one clean sheet in the last 9 games. So it's not really looking very, very promising from a clean sheet perspective. So yeah, I probably won't want to spend too much money there. And I'll, going to Trossard again. We know that he'll still play, but whether he's a show shot starter, maybe not. It's a tough one, to be honest. I mean, you can go for Neil Mope as well, but I mean, yeah, Neil Mope, I've never really trusted him from an FPL perspective. So I want to go for a Brighton attacker, but it's actually a tough call in terms of which one to go for. I think Trossard is probably the closest that I'll probably get towards. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably not. If I'm going for somebody, it's probably going to be Trossard, Mope as the standout attackers. But I'll probably not go for a Brighton attacker. Why wildcard now? Do triple captain Game Week 26. Use the free hit in Game Week 27 if required, and then a wildcard, second free hit in Game Week 30. I mean, I'll definitely not be wildcarding in Game Week 30 because Game Week 30 is a blank. And a lot of teams who have decent, or who could have decent fixtures in Game Week 30 are not having good fixtures from Game Week 31 onwards. So I can, of course, use my first free hit in 27, second free hit in 30, and then wildcard in 31. If that was your comment, that's absolutely right. I can definitely do that. But I mean, it's just a different way of looking at the coming game weeks. I mean, I can still attack the next couple of game weeks with certain players, and it depends on your team and if you're happy with your players, right? For my own team, I'm personally looking to change maybe 5 or 6 players. I might still not do it. I might just still roll with Ronaldo as captain or as my United double, and might not. Maybe I get rid of Royale. Maybe I get rid of Livramento. I have the money to easily to do Livramento to a Dallo, for example, right? That'll probably give me an extra player. I have 2 free transfers as well, so I can actually do that. I mean, it's not the worst transfer to make. Yes, it's a bit risky because he might not play, but in general, I just I'm not very, very fond of at least 4 or 5, at least 5 players in my team right now, which I could change. I mean, if you're happy, if you're okay with those players, I mean, it's absolutely fine. But just not convinced with the likes of Royal, Livramento, Soufal. I mean, there are better options. Even Antonio. I mean, I'm not very, very convinced on Antonio. I think there are better options that I can go even in attack, for example. But yeah, I mean, your strategy is absolutely right. And I think that's going to be a very popular one. If you're having 2 free hits available, 27, 30, 31 wildcard, triple captain in 26. I mean, that's probably the most popular transfer strategy that you can, or chip strategy that you can think of. Kulusevski can play in place of Real. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Kulusevski could also come in as an impact sub, maybe play the last 20-30 minutes. I think Conte has mentioned that he will be using him in the right wing back position. Now, whether he's going to start, maybe not immediately. But again, that's just, is giving more competition. So, I mean, yeah, and that's where I'm not very, very convinced in terms of going for going for a Tottenham wingback. Because we generally don't know who's going to start. I mean, a lot of us, or a lot of you would be having Reguilon, but are we really, really confident that Reguilon is going to start every game or maybe the coming game weeks? I'm not too sure on that. So there are chances that, somebody like a Dyer, for example, could be a better move, but Dyer in general, I mean, you won't go for a Eric Dyer in FPL terms. I mean, you might as well just stop playing FPL then. I mean, of course, you can go for Dyer, but I probably won't be doing that move. Replace Libramento to Weltman instead of Cucurella and save money. I can do that. However, we will not be playing up Brighton assets often with the likes of, yeah, I mean, I can still do it, but I'm just thinking it's probably, I can. It looks more like a wasted transfer, to be honest. I can actually get a different midfielder, maybe attack with somebody like a KDB, for example. Maybe upgrade Smith Rowe to a Martinelli. I know a lot of people would think that that move is a sideways move, but I think in terms of minutes, Martinelli could still outscore Smith Rowe in terms of expected minutes. That might not be still that bad. But I just feel, going for Veltman, because I would want to take advantage of the double game week, which again might be could be 4 points, could be maybe 6 to 7 points. I'm okay taking that chance of not having a Brighton player. If I go on a wild card, I probably will be having Sanchez, so that aspect kind of gets covered. Of course, that'll be two expensive keepers. But again, that also gives me an opportunity to bench boost in Game Week 26, which is not going to be a very popular strategy. I think triple captain still, clearly outranks or outweighs the bench boost strategy for 26. Yeah, I mean, I can go for a Brighton player, but in generally we won't be using, as you correctly mentioned, Akshata, we won't be using Brighton assets for majority of the games. If I really want to go for a single game week player, or maybe a player who has a double game week, assuming that, let's say a Burnley player, or maybe even an Aston Villa player gets a double game week announced in 27, or for game week 27. I mean, that's a better bet, maybe going cheaper. We don't really have a lot of cheap options in the Villa defense, but I think, especially for me who doesn't really have a problem with money at the moment, I think I could still go for a Dinya, maybe a cash. There are options there. Next two game weeks is the last chance for Antonio to shine, or he's going. I mean, I would probably want to take him out right now, because I already have Bowen. I in fact have a triple West Ham at the moment, and yes, their fixtures are okay: Watford, Leicester, Newcastle. Then 27 Wolves, 28 Liverpool, 29 Villa, 30 Tottenham. Those are going to be tricky fixtures. Yes, three decent games, but if I had a chance, I'll probably just pull the plug right away and not wait. I mean, Bowen still looks like the better option to go for, and Antonio. I mean, there are decent. I won't say there are really really good options or much better options among forwards at the moment, because not a lot of forwards are firing right now. So you can still make a case for Antonio doing okay and probably getting a goal or two, maybe doing well against these next three oppositions. But personally, for me, I would want to pull the plug right away. But of course, you can look for 3 weeks. Absolutely fair strategy. Look for 3 weeks, see how he does, and probably ship him out. There are options that you can go for. You can go for a Palace striker. Yes, which one do you go for? That's probably a tricky situation, because you have a lot of options in Palace as well, and Palace has decent fixtures right away. I mean, they have Norwich, they have Brentford. 26 is tough when they have Chelsea. Then they have Watford, Burnley. So there are really really good fixtures for Palace as well. But with Zaha coming back, whether Benteke is gonna get starts, whether Edward is gonna get regular minutes, that's a bit of a tricky situation. I think in general Palace could be a decent team at that time, even outscoring the likes of Antonio. So it's not your free hit. I'm wildcarding this week and aiming for this team. Okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah, if you don't have money for Tierney, it's absolutely fine. You go for White. I mean, he's still gonna give you the clean sheet points, and Arsenal can get you clean sheets. So I mean, that's absolutely fine. Will you take out Jota and bring in Salah? No, my plan, if in case, if I of course I will be getting in Salah, so I won't be taking out Jota. I think I will supplement, or I will be adding a third Liverpool attacker or a third Liverpool player, with maybe a Son. So there are different ways that I can do it. I can upgrade. So I have right now I have 3.5 million in the bank. So I can easily do a Son to Salah, which is a straight transfer. If I'm, let's say, if I'm getting in Bruno, which again could be right now, I'm not really, saying that it's not a possibility. I have two transfers. I can could be a waste move, but I can still do Ronaldo to a cheaper striker, and then Gray to maybe a Bruno, for example. In that case, then I probably the other way is to take out Bruno and then get Salah, because I would not want to take out Son, who's another player who could give me a double game week. Of course, the caveat is that City is facing Tottenham in other games. So Son could be a way, Gray could be a way if I do a makeshift change to a Bruno. These are options that I can actually go for. But yeah, I probably won't be taking out Jota. I mean, again, you can still prioritize, of course, if you feel that Jota is gonna get limited minutes, and if you let's say if you want to go the alternate strategy. I mean, if you want to go for a Trent and a Robertson, for example, and then you want to add another Liverpool player, which is of course going to be Salah. I mean, that also can be an option. But yeah, I think I won't be taking out Jota and getting in Salah in place of Jota. I'll be adding Jota and Salah as two Liverpool attackers, and then I'll be keeping Trent. Thoughts on having both Bruno and Salah for next 2-3 weeks? Uh I mean, Bruno is good or has been okay. Has a double game week, of course. It's not the worst play, to be honest. I mean, you're getting a double game weeker in 25. You're getting a double game weeker in 26. Salah might get rested this week. Of course, there's no clarity on that, to be honest. But he can still get rested. But yeah, it's still not the worst move, to be honest. I would still want to attack a little bit more, maybe with the KDB, for example, who also is a good captaincy option this week. I mean, you can make a case for Salah being a good captaincy option against Leicester, who are not the strongest team defensively. But do we really think that Salah is gonna get minutes, or how if he does, or let's say if he starts, whether he's gonna play 45, 60, 70, we don't know that. So that kind of gives you that risk element. But yeah, I mean, it's still not the worst play. But I personally again would probably, the alternate strategy is to go for somebody like a Son, for example. You take that chance with Son, but in general I feel Bruno has a better double game week than Son. So yeah, I'll probably take that chance. Thoughts on McAllister as Brighton attacker for the double? I'm keeping him and shipping him to Rafinha 26. I mean, McAllister has done okay, nothing great. Not a reliable. He's not a reliable FPL option. I mean, of course, he's cheap, so you don't expect him to score or return every week. But in general, I think I just don't trust a Brighton attacker. I mean, if you have him, you keep him for the double, of course, and then you ship him. You can ship him to an Arsenal mid. Let's say if you don't have an Arsenal mid, for example, you can ship him to an Arsenal mid. If you already have an Arsenal midfielder in place, then Rafinha is one option, who again doesn't have a great double game week, but still gives you a player who has two fixtures. So yeah, I mean, you can still do that, but just not a big fan of McAllister. Yeah. Will you bring in Rafinha? I personally won't. I mean, the alternate move that I mentioned in the wildcard draft was to go for Rafinha, but I'll probably not go for Rafinha. I mean, in general, I think of course you can go for him as your fifth midfielder, but I personally, I think I won't do it. The fixtures are tough. There are better options, or there are better players that you can go for. You can I mean, Bowen could actually outscore him that week. I won't be won't be very very surprised if, because West Ham is playing Newcastle, right? I mean, Newcastle's still not the best defense. Yes, they've made some signings. Yes, the defense could be a lot better, but we know that Eddie Howe is not a defense-minded manager. He's probably gonna score more than he's gonna keep clean sheets, and West Ham could actually do well in that game. So yeah, not too sure of Rafinha. You don't have a City attacker, thoughts? Yeah, I don't have a City attacker. I had Foden. I had sold him a few weeks back. very very tempted to get KDB, even if it's not on a wild card, right? I'm actually very tempted to get KDB. Again, I can make that happen. Whether it's worth it or not, I'm not sure, because yeah, it's that question, right? In terms of how much can you actually take without having Salah in your team. So the route could be Son to KDB. It could be, again, if I do a Bruno move, then it could be, yeah. I mean, the only way that I can actually get him is probably upgrade Son to a KDB. In that case, I probably won't be able to do Ronaldo to Bruno. I think it honestly doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, I can actually get him on a wild card. I think the wild card is a lot easier. I can get him, get Bruno, go for a cheaper striker, get rid of Ronaldo, and then I can keep him for a couple of weeks. I can take him out, next week. But before that, I can actually give him captaincy in Game Week 24 against Brentford, which kind of solves my purpose again. And depending on how Salah does, or maybe depending on the news that we get in terms of how is Salah doing, in terms of fitness, in terms of his playing time and all that stuff, then I can take a call on whether I keep KDB for one more week, which is Game Week 25, which is also a decent fixture. Uh, you know, yeah, Man City is playing Norwich, right? So I can actually keep him for that week as well. Becomes a good captaincy option, but most of the people are going to captain a United player, so I'll probably end up captaining Bruno. So that's another reason that the wild card really appeals to me, to be honest. I mean, it's actually solving a lot of problems, and it's giving me a good team, which probably makes me avoid the free hit in gaming 27. So let's see. You already have Foden. Foden again could do well. I still feel KDB is the best option, but again, he's coming at a price. Foden could get, if he starts in the FA Cup game, then I'll be a little worried in terms of his minutes, because he might not start this week. I mean, there's a lot of games that Man City also play, considering the Champions League and the EFL Cup, the FA Cup games, and all that stuff. And he might get rested, or he might get limited minutes. So with City, you always have that issue. But if I'm really really looking forward to a City option, I think KDB is definitely the best one. Rafinha doesn't have the best double game week fixtures, but the fixtures, yeah, I mean, the fixtures afterwards are looking okay, but you can actually make an argument, of maybe having an Aston Villa player, but Aston Villa have a tricky run of fixtures. Maybe after 28 is when you probably won't look at Aston Villa, because then the next 3 or 4 fixtures are actually tough. Then you probably would look at Chelsea options. I mean, Chelsea options could also be, could be really really hot, because they have a really good run of fixtures. So yeah, he has a tricky double, but the next few fixtures are decent. I mean, Tottenham, Leicester, again, not very, very favorable, but then Norwich, Wolves, Southampton, Watford. So, yeah, I mean, they're okay. So, if you are planning a little long term, because we don't know what's going to happen in game week 30, 31, 32, 33 right now, right? Things could change. You might not, have Rafinha for that long term, because you probably might ship him out for a different set of player. I mean, that could absolutely happen. But right now, with the information that we have, and making sense out of it, Rafinha is probably not the worst move, but I probably still won't be doing that for my own team. Again, that's a very very personal perspective, but maybe not a bad option. Yeah, you're right. I mean, whatever Leeds do, I think most of it is gonna get through Rafinha. So from that perspective, again, he can. I mean, he can still get an attacking return in one of those games, maybe even both games. I mean, Leeds are an attacking team. They can still score against the likes of United, Liverpool. United specifically, because they don't look very, very strong. They are prone to making mistakes. Their defense is not that great at the moment. Maybe Liverpool's going to be a trickier game, but definitely he can get one return, at least one return in those couple of games. How will Liverpool assets look like? Two defense plus one attacker, or vice versa. I think for me, it's going to be, so if I'm on a wild card, I think, if let's say if the wild card is not there, it's probably going to be two attackers, one defender. If I'm on a wild card, then the option kind of opens up, because I can reset my squad. I can go get to a Robertson and a Trent, and then maybe a Salah. But personally, I think I'll still, again, that's a viable option. But I personally would still be having two attackers and a defender. I probably won't be doing two defenders. Can Ronaldo and KDB combine? can combined be enough to keep Salah at bay for gaming 24 and 25? I mean, the fixtures are there. The fixtures are not bad. Even United has a couple of decent games. Leeds, Leeds is 26. Sorry. Uh, the double is okay. Southampton is definitely not strong away from home. I think they're conceding a lot of goals. Brighton at home is a home fixture, could still be okay. Burnley away, I mean, it doesn't sound like a very tough run in the next 2 game weeks. And then you also have KDB, who has a couple of. I think he can. I mean, both of them combined, I personally think they can, because Man City have Brentford, Norwich. I mean, if you really want a City attacker for these two, I mean, these are the two really good fixtures that you can actually target, right? Because then it's Tottenham, Everton, United, Palace, Brighton. It's City we're talking about at the end of the day. They can still score against these teams, but yeah, if you really want to target two fixtures, it's definitely going to be the next two, which is Brentford and Norwich. So I personally think they can actually outscore both them combined. Can definitely keep Salah at bay. I mean, let's hope it happens, because I also don't plan to get Salah at least this week. Next week we'll see what happens. And if I'm using the wild card, if I'm not using the wild card, there are a lot of ifs right now. I think by this weekend we'll have more information and we'll get more clarity in terms of what's going to happen in the next few weeks, or at least we'll get some idea about the blanks, and then a lot of us can actually make sense of some strategy. Maybe we get some news about the doubles in 27 as well, so that also could be an option. So yeah, I mean, still the popular moves again. Wildcard this week is definitely not popular. Wildcard in 28 makes a lot of sense. Then free hit in 27 and 30 is gonna be really really good. If you can manage without the free hit, have at least 9 10 players, maybe 9 players, maybe make a couple of moves and get to 11. I mean, you're absolutely fine. You don't have to use your free hit chip. Wait for the FPL. Wait for the FA Cup games. You'll get more information about the blanks in 30. So that's gonna really make you clear about what fixtures are there for game week 30, and accordingly you can take a call. Triple captain Salah in 26 is still the most popular option, most safest, I think. If you're definitely protecting rank, and if you don't want to take a lot of chances, you want to play it safe, then triple captain Salah is actually gonna be a pretty safe option. And I think you really can't go wrong there, because majority of the people who are going to use their triple captainships or captaincy is going to be Salah, so his effective ownership is probably going to be really high. It's definitely going to be more than 200%. So you will still end up losing rank if you only captain Salah. Son is back. Yes, Son is back. He was pictured back in training. Whether he's available, I think he is available for the FA Cup game. But yeah, not. He is definitely back. Whether he's gonna feature this week, he could feature. Maybe he might just play a few minutes in the FA Cup game, and then he starts against in game week 24. So that could definitely happen. Southampton in 24, and that could definitely happen. But yeah, he's definitely back. Might be eased into his minutes might be managed maybe for a week or so, maybe for a couple of games. But I think he's definitely back. Great, guys. I think yeah. So I think in general, you know, the sense is that, of course, you can go the popular way or you can go the safer way, which is the more template way. But I think it totally depends on your team in terms of what players you have, what strategy you want to go for, how many Arsenal Liverpool players you have, and how you can navigate that blank in 27. Based on that, you can actually go for the strategy of your choice. If you have a single free hit available, I'll still say wait for don't use it in 27. I think 30 is going to be a better week to use your free hit chip. Maybe even try to navigate 30 without the use of chips, and try to use it later when you have more information on more doubles and maybe even more blanks. But definitely triple captain Salah, as I'm around the 1.5 million mark, and right now, and that rank will be, yeah, I mean, you can still go for triple captain Salah. I mean, it's still gonna give you some rise. I'm still not sure how much rise would that be, but yeah, I mean, it's the safer option to go for if you really want to risk it. Triple captain Trent, but I think using a triple captain on a defender is actually quite risky. So of course you can take that chance, and Trent could still get 2 clean sheets. He's also a bonus magnet, so he will definitely give you bonus points as well. And if he gets an attacking return, I mean, he can also outscore Salah, which we've seen in the past few weeks that he was doing. So that's also an option, very risky one. I personally won't do it if I'm using my triple captainship, which I'm still not 100% confident of. I can, I would also be going Salah. Foden, Son, Bowen, your opinion on whom to captain next week. So I think in Game Week 24, if I want to captain, an option, I think Bowen is a really good option. Watford, I still don't think Watford would, get their act together in a week with Roy Hodgson. Might take a few weeks, might take a couple of games. So I think Bowen is a really good option. If Foden is a bit tricky, so probably watch out for the FA Cup game. If he starts the FA Cup game, if he plays the whole 90, I don't think so Foden's gonna start this week. So keep an eye on that. Son as well. But if all of them are fit, let's assume if all of them are fit this week, I still feel you can take a chance with Foden versus Brentford. I think he's probably a slightly better option than Bowen. Son again, Southampton. Not too sure whether he's gonna get 90 minutes, but let's assume that he is getting 90. I still feel Foden. Yes, he's a bit tricky. Just because of the way City plays and just because of the way how attacking returns are shared across the pitch, right? With Son, you might not get that. With Bowen also, you might not get that because whatever happens, in the West Ham attack, Bowen is generally involved and has good expected goals, expected assists. In general, he has good expected goal involvement numbers. So yeah, if I have to rank all three, I'll probably still. It's a tough one. I'll still go Bowen first, and then probably Foden and Son. I mean, of course you can you can have a different opinion on this, but I still feel Bowen is a really good option. I think Watford are really bad defensively at the moment, worse than what Southampton and Brentford are, but at the end of the day, then City. So I think the FA Cup fixtures will give us more idea, but if all of them start and play majority of the game, I still prefer Bowen. Captain KDB this week. If KDB is an option, I think if you compare KDB to Son and Bowen, then KDB definitely is a much better option. I think just the way KDB plays, right? Even with an assist, I think he can really get a lot of. He can get into bonus points. He generally, even if he let's say gives you an assist, he can still be among the bonus points, and I think that's a huge bonus. So if you have KDB, I think he's probably the best option. Do you think we don't need a forward spot, instead convert them to midfield spot if given the chance from now till the end of the season? I mean, yes, forwards have not been that trustworthy, to be honest. I mean, in general, if you see the forward players as well, only Antonio has hit 100, whereas well, you have 6 or 7 midfielders who've hit 100 points. You have the likes of Mount and Gallagher, who a lot of people don't have right now. Bernardo Silva, who's not firing, has hit 100 points. So that really shows you, even when you talk about defenders, right? The 5 defenders who have hit 100 points. So yes, forwards have not been doing that great. So yeah, that's also an option. But right now, even if you don't have a good forward or a good option, maybe I personally don't like a premium forward at the moment. But in general, I think having a playing forward is really important right now. Even if it's somebody like a Broja, for example, somebody who will give you probably 90 minutes is still a thing that you would want to see because of how the double game weeks are happening, how the fixtures are happening. We might get more postponements. We don't know that. I still feel more postponements might be a bit of a stretch, but again, we don't know the situation, right? So there are options that you can actually go for. I mean, you can go for somebody like a Weghorst, for example, from Burnley, who's just cheaper. And you can, also die down in terms of price. You can go for Broja, who's also pretty cheap. You can go for a Palace forward who's also cheaper. So there are options that you can downgrade towards. You can go for somebody like a Wood. Of course, I probably won't want to go for Newcastle. So that's probably not an option. But yeah, I mean there are players that you can actually go for. Leicester could also come into the conversation, but again, Leicester forwards still around the 7 million mark are not that cheap. But yeah, I mean it's a valid strategy to invest a little more in your midfield and probably go a little bit more midfield heavy and then downgrade your forwards, average them out around 6 to 7 million, and Probably you might be able to afford an additional premium attacker or a premium midfielder there. That might not be the worst call. Who to captain this week? CR7, KDB, Son, and Bowen. I still, I think I still captain KDB over CR7, Son, and Bowen. I'm still not. I know the fixture is good for Ronaldo, but I'm telling you, I mean, I'm saying that Ronaldo's not going to do well this week, or I think he's not going to do well. He might just score a hat trick. That's what happens in FPL in general, right? We expect KDB to do well against Brentford. He might not start. I mean, it's Pep at the end of the day, but yeah. But yeah, among all these options, I'll still feel KDB is probably the best bet. Who wins AFCON, Salah or Mane? I mean, I think, yeah, Egypt have been actually scraping through all the last three games, right? I mean, all of them have gone to 120 minutes, 10 penalties. So realistically, you would probably expect Mane to win, but I mean, could be a close one. Could be another game which goes to pens. And Egypt have shown that they have the nerve and then to compete and to do well, to come out on the positive side of these eliminator games. So I mean, it's gonna be a close one, but I still feel if going to penalties, I think Egypt has the has the upper hand because they've been in this situation over the last couple of three games now. But yeah, let's see. I think it's going to be interesting one for them. In fact, I was watching this video the other day where Mane was. There was some prediction with Mane. It was like a funny video where he was saying that like Salah and like I will meet you in the final. So yeah, that's kind of come true. But that's what it is. Cool guys. We'll stick around for 5 more minutes. I think we'll try to keep this one a bit short. So if you have any more comments, any more questions, let me know. We'll try to answer that. I think there's a lot more in the air at the moment. I think a couple of days it's gonna make the situation a lot more clearer in terms of what we do in terms of strat. The game week 30 blanks, the information on game week 27 doubles. I think that's gonna be interesting, and that's probably gonna make this decision a full-fledged one. But yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not too averse using the wild card this week. But if you have a decent squad, you can actually save it. I might save it still, and and let's see what happens. I've been thinking too much FPL, so probably I'll probably get some sleep tonight and not think FPL. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much again for joining the stream. Lovely talking to you. Lovely having all of you today. It's gonna be a very crucial February, a very busy February for all of us. From an FPL perspective, from a football perspective, there are a lot of games. A lot of information is also gonna come out, so we'll try to keep you guys updated with as much as we can. And of course, you always are free, are always free to DM me, to talk to me about anything on Instagram, or you can just message me otherwise as well. It's always a pleasure talking to you guys. Great, then. Thank you so much. I will be watching the United game as well. So yeah, that's another reason I probably need to head off a little early. But yeah, let's hope that we don't get frustrated tonight. But I mean, I won't be surprised if we lose tonight as well. I mean, I know it's Middlesbrough, and you expect United to win, but yeah, things have been crazy. I mean, yeah. So I just keep it there. I probably won't start another ranting United session, because that's probably for the deadline streams, and it's a regular feature of the deadline streams, talking about United and getting frustrated. But yeah, looking forward to catching up with you guys again. Had a great time chatting. I hope you had too. It's great to be back. I mean, I was really missing all of you guys, and just absolutely fabulous to be back. And there will be more content, of course. There will be. I'll try to do a little more detailed wildcard draft in case if a lot of you are interested in a wildcard draft. But we'll probably just talk about the meta strategy in another video, where we probably get some concise thoughts in terms of what could be the meta strategy for this week and the coming weeks. Probably might come out on a Monday, or probably after we get some more information on the FA Cup fixtures, the next FA Cup fixtures, and let's say if we get some more information on the doubles of 27. So that'll be coming out then. Of course, we'll be having the regular team selection as well. and we'll see if we can, of course, there's not a lot of days till now, like for the next deadline, but we'll try to see what we can do. Great, thank you so much again. Thanks for joining. I hope you had a lovely time. I had a great time chatting with you guys, and I will see you in Saners very, very soon. Bye bye. Take care.